Welcome into a live edition of the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise Bank, member FDIC, our amazing partners in Possible here at KC Sports Network. And Chiefs fans, I have bad news for you. The Chiefs lost, but good news, Matter Days are back. We're all together. Matt Swanson, Matt Lane, Matt Hamilton. Matty Lane, how are we?
We've been better. It's an interesting spot, just from the Chiefs fan perspective, because I did not expect them to go in and beat the Philadelphia Eagles in this game, given what they were dealing with. And yet the longer we get from the game, I almost the more upset I get. Like after the game, I was like, yeah, that was fine. They played them tough and they shot themselves in the foot a little bit. That's fine. But the farther away we get, a little more frustrated I think I have gotten with where we're at. So I'm excited to hear from Hamilton, so I'm gonna give the floor to him now. And Hammy, first of all, how was last week being the only person here to handle Kent's puns?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was brutal. There was nobody to interrupt him when he would, get going and cut him off. We definitely
I mean, you
missed
could have
that.
done that.
It's not the same. It doesn't feel as genuine coming from me. But yeah, I mean, it was fine. We didn't have the balance stall of Ken's stuff, but we got the job done. I hope you enjoyed, you know, some time away.
Yeah, we were out on a cruise. We were on a Disney cruise, so it was definitely not relaxing. There's a lot of kids around. Our kids,
Oh man.
the 3 kids of our own is probably the biggest time pressure, but it was pretty cool. It was fun. We had a really good time with it. Really good. Now, as every single person that has ever come off a cruise, we are all about to get very, very sick with something because you were on a cruise and then in multiple airports. So yeah, it's looking forward to a very strong week of everybody coughing up along.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
Maddie's gonna be drinking hottie toddies every show this week. I can already tell. Like that's like his, a little sickness, a little hottie toddy for a Maddie Lane there. But we appreciate everyone hanging out with us today. Yeah, a lot to discuss. A lot to discuss today.
Yeah.
And there's a lot. I think rewatching the game, like some frustrations there, some good things too. But before we get too far into all these details, we just got to get Hammy's takes off the top. Hamilton, we haven't heard from you.
Mhm.
What say you about Chiefs Eagles?
I mean, I'm with Maddie. This wasn't a game I really expected them to win coming in with everything they were dealing with, but with the way that game played out, it's a game you have to win, right? Like I don't think they got the Eagles A game. I thought the defense played tremendously well. They had every opportunity really, and going back and watching the tape, you realize there were even more opportunities than I think I realized on the first go around. When you look at the and some of it was Chiefs miscues for sure. The obvious one being the Kelsey play, and if Mahomes hits Thornton earlier in that drive, they might have enough time to get the ball back and make something happen. But there are even the ones that were just bad breaks. Jordan Davis knocking that ball down at the line for Noah Gray in the second half. If that ball gets through to Noah Gray, I think they end up getting into scoring range on that drive and getting something done. It just seemed like bad break after bad break, and there were things, going through that tape that you didn't necessarily, realize were as big a deal on the watching it on TV, that you go back and it's just like, just another missed opportunity, another mistake, another thing that went wrong, another bad break against them. And those just compounded, and it's just, it seemed like last year all those things went the Chiefs' way, and they just didn't in this game. And it's incredibly frustrating. It's always frustrating to fall to 0-2, but especially when they had so many opportunities to win this game.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't know you were waiting on me, Ken. Yeah.
Jump in after Hammy speaks. That's like 2
I
minutes without you talking. So
I know it's a long time. I think for me, just going back and rewatching, the missed opportunities or something that stick with me. And I think we're going to go through this show today. We'll get to some other stuff that kind of stuck with me more, but even more than the missed opportunities, because the Chiefs maximized their opportunities last year. They made all the right plays at all the right times to win a bunch of close games. Some regression was expected. You didn't expect to go 0-2 because of plays like that, but it is what it is. It's frustrating when it comes from certain, like the leaders of your team, the best players in your team. That's what makes it frustrating, as we talked about on the post game. But watching it back, it's just, to me, it's still like, what is the identity of this team? And I understand they're missing their two most dangerous wide receivers. I don't even think we need to put Travis Kelce in that conversation anymore. It's very clearly their top two receiving weapons, right? Like they're both gone. That's difficult. But what's the identity of this team, even on both sides of the ball? Really, like I know the defense did play really good, but watching it back, how many times can you really just go cover 48% of the game and still blitz another 15 or 10 plays on top of that, right? Like, what are the identities of this team? And I feel like I have a hard time figuring out what that is. So rewatching this game, I think that's what frustrated me more than anything else is we're still kind of having that same conversation that we happen to have with the Chiefs every single year. Now, they figure it out and go to the Super Bowl trying to figure it out. But this year, it almost feels like something's a little bit different. It almost feels like it's a little bit more off in the distance. And I'm sure, again, the injuries play a part, but I was just, that's what really stuck with me.
I think even when, like, we've seen this team slog their way to a 12-5 Super Bowl championship. Like, I mean, like we've seen this team go out and slog and struggle. In the offense, struggle to find footing, and Donovan Smith at tackle and us three at the receiver spot. Somehow Mahomes made it work and won the Super Bowl. And like you ask, what was the identity of that team? Well, it was pretty simple. It took them 17 games, but they had one of the best defenses in football, and they protected the ball on the offensive side. They didn't make mistakes. They didn't make turnovers. The thing that was keeping the Chiefs from winning games that season was a lot of turnover. A lot of turnovers, a lot of mistakes. This team, I don't look to the defense and go, this is a dominant defense. This is a defense that is going to keep this team in games. This isn't the elite back seven that they had in 2023. This is not a great pass rush. There are a lot of flaws on the defensive side of the ball that there is no trump card coming on the defensive side of the ball. So what does that mean? It's got to come on the offensive side of the ball. And we don't really know exactly what they have going on offense yet. And it is going to be a stark difference than what we've seen this kind of recent Super Bowl window, I think. There's going to be a lot in the air about what this team really is for a while until Rashee Rice comes back. And even then, like, we'll see what happened with Xavier Worthy's torn labrum that he's going to try to play through for the entirety of the season. Like, bad footing already. Things do feel different. And I think it's just like, I think that's partially because like there is clear defensive regression and already off on the wrong foot on the offensive side of the ball. I think that gives you some pause. Oh, okay. I was gonna get Ham. You got anything else on Hammy's takes? Anything else?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, it was you're right. It might not be the most sustainable way of playing defense. I think they blitzed on 66% of Jalen's dropbacks. Super aggressive. I love seeing it though. Pin your ears back and go. If I'm going down, I'm going down aggressively. So I did like that. But yeah, you do have to wonder how sustainable it is. I did tweet this out a little bit before the show. That was interesting to note that they held the Eagles to 3.72 yards per play on the day. That is the fewest by an Eagles offense since the Week 17 2020 Doug Peterson, Nate Sudfeld, Jalen Hurts fiasco that gave the Commanders a 7-9 division title, or actually, sorry, the Washington football team a 7-9 division title. So that was levels of keeping that offense in check that we haven't seen in 5 years, and it does that. Even that just makes it more frustrating that they didn't win this game.
I have a question for both of you before we move on. We'll start with Hamilton. Are you sure the Eagles are good?
It's a good question. A good, yes. Great. That offense has not looked quite the same so far under Kevin Patullo. I will say that. It looked pretty stagnant. Not as many bells and whistles as we saw last year with Kellen Moore. I'm not ready to say, that there's a drop off, but it reminds me more of the Brian Johnson 2023 Eagles offense than it does of the Kellen Moore 2024.
I think they're a very good team, and I think there's a very real chance that they may get back to the Super Bowl because they seem to have some of the same thing that the Chiefs of recent years had, as they seem to make a lot of the really big plays in the biggest moments, even if it's not always pretty. That said, I was never on board. I think a lot of people talking this year, the Eagles are by far the best team. They should be the favorites to win the Super Bowl. They're so talented, this, that, and the other. Like, they are a very talented team. Don't get me wrong. But I think they lost more defensively than anybody ever gave them credit for. And I think the fact that this Chiefs team made up of duct tape and bubble gum should have put 27 points on them for essentially missing an unforced field goal. And then the dropped touchdown that Travis Kelce should have had. This Chiefs offense that we're all probably going to rag on for the rest of the show should have scored 27 points on them. I do think the pieces they lost on defense actually put them a relative, significant step back than what they were last year, which was kind of like what stirred that drink on top of Saquon Barkley going crazy. Barkley doesn't have another historic year in terms of ripping off explosive runs, because if you go look at his success rate, it was good, but it wasn't elite like the rest of the game was. It's just those explosive runs. If those even come back a little bit, you're looking at a much less dangerous offense, which I think you've seen through 2 weeks so far. And if the defense isn't ready to keep pace with what they were last year in the playoffs, yeah, I think they're a good team, a very much a Super Bowl contender, but I do think they got a little overrated going in, and people were not considering all that they lost, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think the Packers handle that Eagles team quite comfortably. I think that Packers team right now, and look, it's week 2, but man, there's a lot to be desired out there in Philadelphia. And I think the defensive line, I don't think the defensive line is as easily replaced as I think we all thought they were going to be. And maybe some guys having more snaps is exposing some things. They did lose a lot. I mean, Milton Williams making some plays out in New England. Josh Sweat, now you're having to play guys a higher snap count, and you're relying on some of the guys. There's still interesting players like Jalix Hunt flashed last year late, but I don't know if Jalix Hunt is, down in, down out as reliable when he's having to play at a higher clip. But yeah, I mean, I was a little bit more whelmed by that group than I thought I would be. And I think some of the carryover from week 1 kind of existed there in that week 2 game too. So that's just something I'm keeping an eye on. I don't know how I feel about that Eagles team the same way. I think some other teams have looked a little bit better and are piquing my interest a little bit more.
And even that second, Makuba has stepped in. He was phenomenal in that game, but Adoree Jackson is definitely a weak point to watch there too.
Yeah, there's some issues there. There's some issues there for that team. And this isn't an Eagles pod, and I think we're going to be done talking about the Philadelphia Eagles for the rest of the season, because I don't think they're going to be in the Super Bowl anyway. But you could be at a Chiefs game. Calling all Chiefs fans, you could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA now. Enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pregame coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
What's up, guys? I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network, and I'm here to talk to Kansas City businesses. If you rely on technology, you need an IT support team that's not just another vendor, but a true IT partner. That's why I want to introduce you to my friend and neighbor, KJ Miller. He is a VCIO at ThrottleNet, the Midwest's highest rated and most reviewed IT support company. They've been in business for more than 25 years, helping companies stay secure, productive, and ahead of the curve. They aren't just IT support, but they provide data security, IT strategy, and cloud software services. They do it all, and their reviews show they do it better than anyone else. So if you want to hear about how ThrottleNet can help your local business, join the conversation with myself, KJ Miller from ThrottleNet, and our resident genius from KC Sports Network when it comes to IT, at least as he's affectionately known by us, Mr. Craig Stout. Click the link in the description to hear how ThrottleNet can help you.
Appreciate everyone hanging out on a Matter Day here of the KC Laboratory. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for listening, watching, supporting everything we're doing here at KC Sports Network. And we're gonna get further into this game a little bit more granularly at some different things that we wanted to talk about. I have to understand because we work on the rundown, right? Like, you know, this is something we work on. We put it together, and Maddie Lane had, I think, one of the most interesting sidebars we've ever had. The offensive line is a Sour Patch Kid, and I need to hear it straight from your mouth, Maddie.
Is there a Sour Patch Kid? The why? I think that was pretty self-explanatory.
I get it.
First they're sour, then they're sweet.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just the commercial. First they're sour, then they're sweet. The sour is, you watch him, and Kingsley is getting blown off the ball once a quarter. He's beat within less than a second, and it completely wrecks a play. Now, and then also Juwan Taylor's doing Juwan Taylor things. Like it's fine overall, but he also has really bad losses that are either result in penalties or he gets plays blown up. So like there's some sour to the offensive line play. They have a right tackle and a left guard who, when they lose so badly that the play is just done. It's over. But then it's sweet because you watch this rookie left tackle go out there and pitch a shutout against this Philadelphia Eagles team. And then obviously Creed Humphrey's great. And Trey Smith, is never going to be perfect because that's how he plays, but what he does is very good. So first they're sour, then they're sweet. I don't know. I didn't think it was that complicated of a concept, Kent.
You just basically said like parts are good, parts are bad. Like that's just the whole commercial. Didn't know if there's any more depth to the analogy than just one position's good and one's bad.
No. For the analogy, no. For the analogy, it's pretty much straightforward. Parts of it are sour, which isn't good, and parts of it are sweet, which is good. Yes, I have a lot more on the offensive line, but I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on the offensive line first before I go off on like a 10-minute ramble.
Well, I liked the analogy personally.
Thank you, Hamilton. I appreciate it. This is the kind of support I expect from co-host. Shh, no one's talking to you. This is the kind of support I expect from fellow Matts here on a Matter Day.
So yeah, and honestly, I couldn't agree more. It's just it's tough watching Juwan Taylor and Kingsley out there right now, but you have to be really happy with how the investment in Josh Simmons looks to this point. Obviously, as you said, pitching a shutout, the extra effort plays on that Makuba interception. If they do come back and win that game, that's a play that we're talking about, all over sports media all day today. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way, but still, you got to love what you're seeing from him so far. I still think they got to find a way to get this run game going. I won't jump the gun here because I know how Ken hates that when we get ahead of the run game, but that's still my biggest concern. But overall, a definite improvement there from Simmons alone.
I feel much more comfortable with this setup than I did in recent years, right? And I think just the reshuffling of where the problems lie feels right, and it feels better than we've had in years past. And that's weird to say with losing Joe Tooney, who's one of the best guards in football. But man, I think there's a better version of Patrick Mahomes out there with more stability at the tackle spot. And I know Juwan's done some Juwan things this year, and it sucks to be 0-2. But I love watching Josh Simmons play football.
It's so good.
I just love how he has just shut down so many narratives about him in the pre-draft process. I think that's just been so cool to see him just rise above some of those things and get these rave reviews in Kansas City and go out and play with good football character too. Watching him go chase down Andrew Makuba is going to endear himself to this organization and that locker room in such a way that I think that speaks volumes. The Chiefs got it right. Josh Simmons looks like one of the best 32nd picks, probably the best pick 32 since Lamar. I mean, that's the kind of air that he's in right now. I mean, he's got an ability to be one of the best players at his position, and I mean, he showed it this week, pitching a shutout and playing really, really good football.
And remember when there was a debate about him or Connerly? Did you guys happen to watch Connerly play on Thursday night against the Packers?
Well,
yeah.
I wonder. By the way, Maddie, you're the most muted or something's up with your mic. But I wonder if some of the pre-draft rumors might have scared Washington away a little bit, just because they already were taking on Tunsil, and then I wonder if some of the pre-draft rumors maybe, kept the Texans away, perhaps, because of, they just had some turmoil in their offensive line room. And if any of these rumors, if they don't get the vibes that they want from him, maybe that's the case. And then there's the injury side of it too. But I don't know. I wonder if that played in a little bit too, like if they substantiated those rumors or felt any kind of uneasiness there. Those two particular from a culture fit, maybe they were scared. I'll take it. Seems to be doing just fine in Kansas City.
And that Texans offensive line is doing real well tonight.
Oh my gosh, this is so bad.
I know the Texans. Is my mic better now, Kent?
Yes.
Okay. I know that the Texans weren't going to take Josh Simmons, whether it was character, injury, whatever it was. He was not they were not going to take him. And so I don't know what the issues are. I'm not even going to say having Connerly ranked higher than Simmons was just objectively wrong or anything like that. Like, hey, if you like Connerly, I get it. He's young. You think there's some upside there. Sure. Go for it. I'm happy the Chiefs got who they got. Watching this game back, I thought live, he was really good. And then going back to rewatch, it was just even better. And the reason it was better is the preseason, week 1, there was good things. There were bad, or not even bad, just things that need to be improved on. What I like is it's week 2, and I can very clearly pull up examples of him improving stuff that I think we all thought he need to be working on. He's still never going to be a super strong puncher, I don't think, in his pass sets. That's fine, but he's getting quicker with his hands. He's meeting rushers more at the top of their move rather than having them get their hands on him and then trying to not just anchor and absorb it, but just fight for leverage and positioning. He's actively meeting these rushers at the apex of their rush before they get hands on him. I see him no longer getting off balance when he is trying to quick set and reach out and shoot his hands first. I can see him objectively getting better at the things that we all thought he needed to do. And it's week 2. Against a very good front after I think it was a solid week 1 performance. There was nothing concerning from it, but I wouldn't say it was a home run knock out of the park week 1 performance versus the Chargers for him. It was just solid, right? Yeah, this one was great. I thought he was the best player on the offensive side of the ball for the Chiefs, maybe on the entire Chiefs. Now, there's some baked in there that Mahomes is on this team who's always going to be the best player, but I just think Simmons was that impressive, and watching it back, it really was something else. And just even moving down the offensive line real quick, because I think it's a lot on Simmons. Last thing I did want to say on Simmons here too, if he continues to do so, advance his hand technique to some of the stuff that he did do at Ohio State, because if you watch him at Ohio State, he used multiple different techniques with his hands. He would circle punch a lot. He would trap a lot. We haven't seen a ton of that in the preseason or week 1. I saw a couple of the circle punches coming back versus Philly, and he got them a couple times, right? I think he got Darius Smith on one of them. He got Jalix Hunt's one time where he flashes the hand and then circles it away like a Mr. Miyagi and Karate Kid kind of teaching, and then relands his hands. But you get a rusher off balance, off their cadence by doing that. And just getting some of that stuff back into his game that we saw at Ohio State, I think will go a long way in helping when he is not going to be the strongest puncher at the apex. Now, down the line, Kingsley has some really good run blocking reps, but man, we got to fix the quick losses. And they come to linebackers, they come to D tackles, they come to D ends on stunts. They can come on any given play. And that's the scary part. There's no way to prepare for when he's going to have one of those reps that's just toast. Creed's great. I don't know if we need to spend too much time on there, although he did seem to have his hands full with Jordan Davis quite a bit, actually. In the run game especially, he did, and even just anchoring and keeping Jordan Davis's hands out of passing lanes. I thought Creed did have a little bit of difficulty with the size of Davis, which is something that I think Kent and we saw when we went down to Mobile and watched him at the Senior Bowl. With some of the bigger guys down there were a little bit of an issue, and obviously has not hindered him in the NFL. But that did stick out. Trey Smith, dominate one rep. Yeah, a little iffy on the next one. And then Juwan Taylor, this is my question for you guys on the offensive line. Do you guys want to see Jalen Moore play right tackle? Do you guys want to see, I'm not asking if they should or if they will, right? Do you guys want to see that over Juwan Taylor?
I do personally. I've seen enough right now, even just to see, even if it's not better, just to see what it looks like, because we know what the Juwan Taylor experience is going to be at this stage. And personally, I want to see them give him a shot.
I think I'm more interested in seeing Jalen Moore at left guard than I am at right tackle still. I'm not out on Juwan yet. And I know like it's such a weird, just a weird career arc for him in KC. One of the most bizarre players because like when he's not committing penalties, he's not bad. This year's been a little bit more up and down, and some of the penalties have been. I mean, it's been more pronounced this year. And look, maybe it's the knee. Maybe it is the knee. I mean, he's on the injury list with the knee, or he's on the injury reports every week with the knee. He's been on the injury report with the injuries with the knee for a long time here, for a long extended period of time. It does feel like the leash is a lot shorter. They've got to clean the penalties up, but I think if the penalties get better, even marginally like they did this week versus week 1, like I don't know. I think I'd keep rolling them out there. And I would think about Jalen Moore at left guard. I think before I would think about Jalen at right tackle.
So I would agree. I think the way Jalen Moore moves reminds me of my concern with putting Jalen Moore at tackle is it finally looks like Mahomes is getting more comfortable dropping deeper in the pocket again and then working forward from not just like 7 yards, 8 yards, but like going to 10 or 11. It feels like there's a little more trust in Simmons and Taylor to be able to block far enough up the arc that he can then get away. I don't know if Jalen Moore gives you that. From watching the couple reps that we saw of him at left tackle and then even in the preseason this year, I don't know if he's giving you that much. Now, it's not to say he wouldn't be just a better tackle than what Juwan Taylor's been this year. I just think for the comfort of Mahomes and getting back to what he likes the most, I get a little iffy. But man, and this I think ties into the next part, Juwan Taylor's pass pro hasn't been as good this year. Like I do think that he's had some quick losses. The penalties this year, there's been more holding this year because I think he's getting beat more frequently. It's not just false starts and illegal formations. There's been a couple holds now in both games. So he's getting actually beat this year a little bit more, but he is so ineffective in the run game. Now, most of the team is, but Juwan Taylor in the run game is struggling. Like they had a couple plays where he can't close the gap to Trey Smith fast enough. He can't get out in front of a 3-tech, or he can't stop a 3-tech from bubbling him back that messes up with a puller. Like that's happened numerous times just through 2 weeks. And he's not the biggest problem with the run game right now, but like of the offensive linemen, I do think he's been the biggest liability because you just can't trust him to not get in the way of the play at this point. So that I think might be one other reason that you would consider a Jalen Moore at right tackle switch.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's definitely been a drop off this year, I think. And it is a great point. Like Mahomes' comfort in that pocket and his mobility has been the best part of this offense so far. So you're right. You don't want to necessarily mess with that if that part of it is working as far as the passing game, and Mahomes' comfortability is the most important thing right now for this offense. But yeah, it's just this run game really needs to get turned around. I mean, there were moments in the first half where, I'm thinking, okay, this actually looks pretty good. They're moving, they're getting some movement. They're creating some lanes. We saw some nice runs. And then in the second half, I think it was 10 carries for 18 yards from the running backs after halftime. So obviously that is not going to get it done. And if you're not going to have your playmakers there in the passing game, like they have to establish some sort of a consistent run game.
Guys, I don't understand all the concerns with the run game. I'm going to be honest with you. You look at the Chiefs are averaging 5.1 yards per carry. What's the big concern? Oh, is it because Patrick Mahomes is averaging 9.5 yards per carry, 123 yards on 13 carries? Is that why? Oh, is it because Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco are at 28 carries for 94 yards on the season? Oh, okay. It's that, isn't it? I know, like Maddie, there's definitely there's some struggles, some concerns with the actual run game. But I think you kind of hinted at this a little bit on the post game show. Like you do see like a little bit of silver lining. You see a little bit of hope for this run game here, though, too.
Hope's a strong word, but I like what they did against the Eagles. They got under center more, and I really like them going under center a lot more. It looked better. The numbers actually bore out to be just a tiny bit better than their shotgun runs. So like, it's not even like you can come to the table with stats here, but I have an excuse for this that makes a lot of sense to me that we're going to get to in a second. I just want to say sidebar. It's funny. Kareem Hunt, Mr. Kareem Hunt, fine on zone runs. Not like great or anything. He's exactly what you expect out of this version of Mr. Kareem Hunt to be. Isaiah Pacheco is dreadful. He is absolutely the worst statistical running back in the NFL on zone runs. Or not zone runs, but from shotgun, the shotgun runs in general. Whereas if you put under center, Pacheco's been fine and Kareem Hunt's been not as good. So it's weird how the running backs are split and what they're doing now. Some of that's probably Kareem Hunt gets a lot of the short yardage work. And when they haven't been successful, that tanks success rate and yards per carry when you're trying to run on 3rd and 1. But nonetheless, I like that the Chiefs went under center. They tried to run, some of their zone stuff from under center. They even tried some of their gap, some of their power stuff from under center, and it looks better for the offensive line. I do think the offensive line seems to be blocking better when they get under center. The angles that they are getting for their runners coming downhill seems to work better. Everything just looks a little bit smoother. And even though they didn't bust any long runs, I think the longest was 7 on like a wide zone from under center from Pacheco, I believe it was on one of the early plays of the game. A lot of the ones that failed were because Noah Gray is getting his ass tossed in the run game. Like, I'm not even going to censor it. Like, he is getting destroyed. And when he's not getting destroyed, he's getting tripped or he's getting knocked back into a puller. He has been one of the biggest issues with this run game so far. And it's unfortunate to say because he's an undersized H-back that they're asking to be their blocking tight end because they don't want it to be Travis Kelce. I don't know why they're not using, big Bob Tonyan in this role yet. Maybe they will, but like, it's been really bad. Noah Gray's inability to block front 7 players, I think, has really tanked some of their run stuff, specifically from under center. And then when you don't have a tight end that can block and you refuse to run from under center more than a couple times a game because that doesn't match Andy Reid's shotgun, West Coast offense 5-out stuff very often in the RPOs, well, now you're limited to essentially running inside zone. That's about all you can run when you can't use the tight end and you want to stick in the shotgun world. So the run game's limited. I like going under center, but man, the Noah Gray blocking right now has been really tough through 2 weeks.
Yeah, and the numbers bear out everything that you're saying right now. When you look at just pulling up Isaiah Pacheco's numbers from under center versus shotgun, under center 4 carries for 16 yards, 1 under expected. From shotgun, 6 carries, 6 yards, 17 yards under expected.
There was a play where he ran smack into an offensive tackle's back. Now, it wasn't well blocked on that particular play, but he ran smack into someone's back. It's just, buddy, come on.
That's kind of, I love Isaiah Pacheco as far as like an incredible story, 7th round pick. So cool to see him, have some success in this league and do some good things and win some Super Bowls and be a piece of that. It's been tough sledding this year. It was tough sledding last year. And he's had his struggles just in general running the football. I know there's a lot of people griping right now about the Chiefs' lack of resource investment in the running back room. I get it. I think where you see this team's desperation to make sure they keep, higher quality positions of value, under team control. I think you see it most at nose tackle, and I think you see it most at running back. I think there's probably been some opportunities where if a running back fell to them at the right spot, they would have taken one in the last couple drafts. But I think the Chiefs need Noel Williams more than they need Bashul Tutin right now. And I think they're going to need Noel Williams more than they need Bashul Tutin or Dylan Sampson more for the next 3 years, because they've got to value the cornerback position and drafting and developing a cornerback to have some additional depth there more than they're going to just try to get lucky at running back. They're going to make minimal investments at the running back position. They're going to take swings on Elijah Mitchell because, they tried to take a swing on J.K. Dobbins a couple of years ago and it didn't work out for them. So
let's quit taking random swings and take one that matters.
Yeah. Just, can they afford to? Can they afford to?
Yes. Any of these running backs you just named would have had a bigger impact on this game than Noel Williams, who played good in his 6 snaps. It was more than 6 snaps. It was 6 coverage. Sure.
For 2025, maybe. But I think that arc changes very quickly, especially as this team's trying to piece a roster together. and they've got to prioritize higher positional values. And I think that's kind of what they're doing. That's the read I have on how they're trying to navigate this position and navigate the struggles of paying all these guys top money and paying so much top tier talent and keeping so much top tier talent. Is they're going to try to get cute at a few spots. And one of them they found out with Mike Pennell. And then the other
position's cheap to pay a good player at? Running back. You can pay a good running back very little money.
Well, what would you pay? Would you wish they paid Najee Harris?
I wish Josh Jacobs would have been interested in playing in Kansas City. That's what I wish.
Yeah.
I wish they weren't so worried about Jonathan Taylor's ability to run from shotgun, because obviously Isaiah Pacheco can't, and he would be in Kansas City. That's what I wish. Now, do I think those guys would be as good in KC as they are where they are? Probably not, because this goes back to the run game issues. Yeah. Andy wants to be in shotgun. He wants to run a lot of RPOs. He wants to do this more finesse zone run game. And I think that's going to make it very difficult to ever have any running back really dominate. And because you look at it, no tight end can block. I talked about that. So what do? You go in shotgun and you have them run a bubble, or you have them run into the flat. And what you're drawing players out of the box to set up a lighter box and to get better angles instead of using them to block. That's fine, but you can only do so much with that. You can only run so many runs out of that. And so I do think that those guys wouldn't be as good in KC, but I do think that Josh Jacobs would not have negative 17 yards over expectation for sure. As a runner. It's just so I would like to see them invest in a running back that can, make a play. It can read the hole and get through it before, a grandfather clock ticks 13 times. And 2, maybe a tight end that can block would be helpful. Like, if you want to fix the run game, do those 2 things, but I don't know how much they want to.
All right, we're gonna. You got something?
I was just gonna say, it's just you look at the types of players that they keep bringing in. It's not even just the talent level; it's the types of players, as you said. Like, got enough tight ends that can block. Just get somebody you can put in there that's going to be
bring
super
back Kate
reliable.
Bell.
Yeah. There you go.
Bob Tonyan was in line on that play, right?
Which one?
On the Noah Gray getting blown up by Nolan Smith short yardage from the 35 play.
He was not in line. He was also in the backfield. He arced out. They had 3 in the backfield.
Okay.
Big Bob was out there some. Hey, by the way, Nick Chubb 25-yard run. I don't know if a Chiefs running back has done that in 3 years.
What is
Nick Chubb's knee is as healthy as Kent's.
I wanted to see what Nick Chubb was up to a little bit, not gonna lie. I think that would have been a fun swing. And I mean, already better than Elijah Mitchell at this point. So there's that.
Let's see him.
Yeah, let's find out. Rashard Smith getting a carry was pretty cool. Good for him.
Yeah.
That was good for him. Good for him getting an opportunity. I think they just had to break tendency, honestly. I think that was like a tendency breaker. It's like, okay, yeah, we will actually give him the football when he's on the field a little bit. Got to throw that out there a couple times.
Got to respect it. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to respect Rashard Smith getting a carry here or there. We're going to take a break. We're going to be back right after this.
What's good, everyone? It is KCSN betting analyst Benny Heiss. Something hit me as I was driving to the Missouri side, ironically, for something not available on the Kansas side. I cross over. I just can't get over how long sports fans in the state of Missouri have been waiting. It feels like forever. Good news is you don't have to wait much longer, because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is finally coming to the Show Me State. And if you're thinking, yeah, but I got to wait on the sidelines until December 1st, it's not true. You can sign up right now. And when we go live, new Missouri customers get $300 in bonus bets just for placing a $5 bet. $5. That's not even as much as a pumpkin spice latte that's going to take over. So it's not some ragtag sports, but this is DraftKings. You got live in-game betting. So if your team starts hot, you could jump in mid-play. There's lightning fast payouts. None of that wait 3 days for your money nonsense. And you've got more ways to get in on the action. There's no better way to start. It's all from your phone. When we go live, you'll be betting with a sportsbook trusted by millions, safe, secure, fast withdrawals, everything you want. Well, except maybe a guarantee that your team will cover the spread, but that part's still on you. So here's the move. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. use code KCSN. And when we go live December 1st, that $5 bet turns into $300 in bonus bets. That is code KCSN in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus and physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after they are issued. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
I'm Brett Goodwin, one of the owners of The Learning Tree. The Learning Tree is a neighborhood toy store in Prairie Village, Kansas. This has been here in this location since 2000s, and my husband Alan and I purchased the store in 2023. Alan and I grew up in families where we've always wanted to have a business together. Alan grew up, for instance, his parents had a jewelry store. I worked in a local toy store here in Prairie Village when I was growing up. When this opportunity happened in 2023, we knew right away we wanted to contact them and pursue the store. We wouldn't have been able to get the store without the team at Emprise Bank. From the day we contacted them, they knew what we needed to do, which was very helpful. I would absolutely recommend the team at Emprise Bank to anyone looking to secure a business. We worked with Emprise from day one. They were extremely helpful. They were always great resources. We talk to them frequently. They know the area. They're very friendly. We know who we're going to talk with, and they know what we need to do. We hope we'll see you at the Learning Tree.
Thanks, everyone, hanging out with us on a Monday, especially with a double header on Monday Night Football going on right now. Like, what?
Amazing.
Like, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Let's talk a little bit about the defensive side of the ball. We are going to do intrusive thoughts a little bit later, right before at the end of the show. So
Maybe.
start if you're in the chat, start thinking about some of those intrusive thoughts. We'll probably throw a few up there, right? We'll get a few going. But before we get in there, let's talk about the defensive side of the ball. And Maddie said it off the top of the show in post-game show. Spags, like, what do you take away from this game when this team plays zero so much? They just kind of put the pressure on Jalen Hurts and try to force him to make some plays in the drop back game, and he's just incapable of doing it. What do you draw away from this game, Hamilton?
I mean, it's not a formula you can use against everyone. Obviously, I think it was a challenge to Jalen Hurts. It is a formula you can probably use next week against Russell Wilson. And the way that Giants' offensive line has been looking, especially with that Andrew Thomas. Although, God, after Russ still has the magic to just throw up those moon balls.
And he's got Malik Neighbors down there too.
Yeah.
Whatever.
300
Wandale
yards
Robinson.
between
How dare you.
Malik Neighbors and Wandale Robinson. Yeah, I never thought I would see that day. But yeah, obviously it's not a formula you can use against everybody. But again, I like seeing that. We know Spags' DNA is to be aggressive. I like seeing that come back to this defense. I thought they did a great job bottling up Saquon. I thought, Leo Chanel played really well. I thought there were some positive things up front with that D-line. Derek Nottie, the touchdown that Saquon broke was totally, I don't know why he jumped into the opposite A gap on that play. But yeah, overall, I thought there were, this looked like a Spags defense, which week one did not.
I've said on this, I don't know what to do with this defensive game plan. And the more stats I see about it, how much they blitzed, how often it was cover zero, even watching some of their run stuff, which doesn't go down as blitzing, I guess, because, it's no drop back, but like they were throwing some run blitzes into the run. Like you can't do this every week. Right? Like you can't. And like, even if it's against the Eagles again, against Hurts, who's a quarterback that this does work again, you can't just go throw this game plan back out there. Well, actually, maybe you can, because I don't know if Hurts has ever shown he can beat it, but like other quarterbacks that even struggle against the blitz, you can't do this all the time. This is kind of what got Brian Flores in trouble in Miami, when he was doing essentially it at this rate, is it does become too much. And so eventually you do have to, play a more traditional brand of defense from time to time. And we just didn't get to see enough of that. So I don't know what my takeaway defensively is for this. I think it was really cool to see Spags come out here and say, you know what? We are literally just going to do these couple things over and over again until the Eagles can beat us. And they never really did. Like, the defense got a turnover. They got a short field from a fourth down stop. Like, the Eagles defense put the offense in positions to score, but the Eagles offense really didn't do much besides the tush push, one throw to Devontae Smith, and then the really, really poor run defense on Saquon Barkley's touchdown. So like, that's all they gave up. So it was a cool game plan by Spags. I really liked it. I just don't know how you translate this to the rest of the year unless they know their defense is as bad as it looked in week 1. And this is just the alternative is, hey, we will do this all the time. And it's either going to be an explosive play for you or an explosive play for us and no in between. And you know what? If it's that or what the Chargers did, what they did versus the Chargers, I guess give me that every single day of the week.
I think we talked about this, like Herbert, I think really exposed them with his ability to get the ball out of his hands quickly and athletically. Like, I don't know if Jalen Hurts, that's really something like that. It's a slow developing, motion. It's not really in his game to beat you, throw the quick hitch off the switch release. Like, that's not really what his game is. And the Eagles aren't as uniquely capable of executing it the way that the Chargers were. I don't know if Russ Wilson's going to be like that either next week. And so I'm curious to see what next week will be a better litmus test for what they think here, right? I think, and what they think of this team, and like how the Giants choose to attack them, and how the Chiefs choose to, try to go after the Giants. They've never been afraid to pressure Russ, especially last year against the Steelers. Like that game, right? Like they owned him. They made him look terrible. Well, never mind. We'll talk about Russ and the Giants later in the week. But yeah, I think next week will be a bigger litmus test for like what is real with this defense and what's not, and what they kind of think about this team. I will say I did feel like the safeties played better this week. I feel like Jaden Hicks did some good things in this game. Brian Cook, I think, was absolutely flying around in this game. Like that was like there was some good moments from this team.
It felt less complicated. Defensively, they did a lot of not weird stuff, but not like complicated stuff. It felt like, hey, we're either dropping everyone or we're blitzing everybody, and you're in man coverage, and that seemed to help the safeties. Which, yes, they're technically young, I guess, but also that they're not like lacking in experience in this system,
right,
which makes it weird. But like that seemed to help them to kind of just like boil it down to, hey, you're in man coverage, and even still, then there was a couple times where some guys did get loose deep, and Jalen Hurts did not make them pay, and so I do think that was helpful. So like, right, you do see Spags saw what some of the issue was in week 1, adjusted for week 2, and that is what you feel good about. He found a game plan that worked very well versus the reigning Super Bowl champions in the Philadelphia Eagles. So you still feel really good. Spags has his fastball. You feel bad that the 4-man pass rush sucks. It's terrible.
Yeah.
You feel really bad that your 2 rookie defensive linemen you took on day 2 of the draft had 19 combined pass rushes and 0 pass rush wins. They didn't beat a blocker a single time in 19 attempts. That's pretty rough. Like, you don't love that. Chris Jones was like a little over 10%, which is like okay. George Karlaftis is at like 7%, and he's making a lot of money in the future to do that. The pass rush still doesn't look great, but at least Spags figured out some stuff, so you feel good about that aspect of it.
Yeah, and we were talking about it last Monday, Maddie. Like I felt like that Chargers game, it just seemed like the safeties were overthinking everything. Like it was like Jaden Hicks was like playing Madden coverage almost. He's like, I have to get to this spot, and like he's not reacting to what's going on in front of them. So, I think playing more aggressively, it takes some of the thinking out of it, and you just go and you play off instinct. And I feel like that's what those guys needed. And I did think like Cook, that was one of the better games I've ever seen from Cook.
Yes. That might be his best game since the ankle injury. Like that might be his best game since that happened.
Yeah. So just letting these guys play free and loose, it obviously worked. And I do wonder, again, it's harder to play so aggressively when you can't rely on your offense to strike back, right? Like that's the toughest part about playing the way that they played more consistently. But that's the thing when you get
the Bucks are at like 2nd and goal.
Oh, here we go. But yeah, when you get Rasheed back, you wonder, when this offense gets clicking, because I do think it will get clicking again once they get Rasheed back, once Jalen Royals gets in there. This offense is going to look very different. You wonder if then they can take, as we said, like you can't play this aggressively every day, but when you have some of those guys back, they can start playing more aggressively again on a consistent basis, I think, when that offense is more reliable.
Before we close this show out, we thought we'd bring intrusive thoughts back.
It's Mike Evans 1-on-1.
Yeah, I saw that. I think they just called a timeout. Intrusive thoughts are essentially thoughts that
update.
you might have passed through your brain, but you don't necessarily believe. But they're at least
You also don't not believe.
there's like a little like there's some questioning there, right? There's enough questioning there. And we had kind of explained because like this is Hamilton's first time with intrusive thoughts. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. When you win, 15 games last year when we're on the show, there's not a lot of intrusive thoughts creeping
A
in.
lot of self-reflection happening.
No.
Winning cures all, right?
Yeah.
But 2 losses back to back, or 3 losses if you count the Super Bowl. All right, bring them back. Bring the intrusive thoughts back. This is Maddie Lane's. This is from the mind of Maddie Lane. This is his segment. This was his idea. So Maddie, we'll let you lead things off with an intrusive thought. What you got?
Touchdown Tampa on the ground. Let's go.
Circle
right.
zone.
Intrusive thoughts. I think the quickest, and you explained it really well, but I also think the quickest way I can explain it is these are thoughts that you put in your private group chat that somebody's not going to put on blast. That's what this is. This is a thought that you keep away from the public, right? Well, now we're putting it in the public. I think that the Chiefs' deep passing attack is going to be completely fine this year. Currently, I think Mahomes is sitting like right around 50% on true deep shots, like balls that are traveling 20 plus yards downfield, specifically vertically. Like there's a couple corners that might have eked to the 20-yard mark that get into the formula for some websites, but they're 50% on deep ball would be top 5 in the NFL last year. Even still, Tyquan Thornton's had a chance to come down with 2 others that would have been difficult catches, but like he had a chance to come down with them. He's getting deep, and guess what? He's the only wide receiver in this team that can run right now. Imagine once they get Xavier Worthy back, even if he can't reach over his head because he's got a torn labrum, and they can throw him on verticals. They get Rashee Rice back, who's not a burner, but we've actually seen him win on a couple outside like go routes and like fades down the sideline throughout his first 2 years in the NFL. So I think as they get healthier and they just keep trying, it might not always look pretty. You might have a wide open player that gets missed by 15 yards for some reason. Like that might still exist because Mahomes is still a tick off on some of these deep balls. But I think by the end of the year, we will look back and say, okay, they can push the ball downfield again. It's there. We saw the bones of it through the first 2 weeks now. I do think it's coming back. I don't think it's going to be 2018, but I do think they will be functional at throwing the ball downfield on some of these vertical things based on what we've seen so far.
I think the pass pro structure affords them that opportunity too. Like I think Mahomes feels comfortable pushing the ball down the field with the pocket he has now. Like I think a little bit more reliability at the tackle spot is going a long way. So, I think there's some validity to that. Any thoughts on that one, Hammy?
Yeah, I do think there's validity to that, and it kind of plays into, if I can give my intrusive thought here, is that I do think that this offense is going to get going again. As I said before, I think when Rashee is back, I think we see this look more like a Chiefs offense that we saw, a better Chiefs offense than we've seen really over the past 2 years. But the intrusive thought that keeps creeping in is that going to be too late when they get that rolling? Because right now, like I'm looking at this schedule, by the time they get him back, with the way they've been playing lately, like there's a realistic chance that they're 2-4 when that happens going into that game. And I think, they'll handle the Raiders as they always do, get to 3-4, but then you get a couple of big games coming up against Washington, at Buffalo, at Denver. This could be a grind to get into the playoffs. And obviously, if they get in, they're as dangerous as anybody. But that's the intrusive thought that keeps creeping in. Is like this team could legitimately be 2-4, and that scares the crap out of me. And you got to hope, Rashee hasn't played in an actual game at that point for over a year. Can they just hit the ground running, or is it going to take a couple of weeks? And they really won't have a couple of weeks for that to settle in. So that's the thought that keeps creeping into me. I hope I am wrong, and I am hoping that's not the case, but it's gnawing at the back of my head right now.
Here's my intrusive thought that's off of that.
Just keep stacking.
Just keep stacking L's. And chat, if you have any inclusive thoughts you want to throw in there, like we might throw a couple up there, depending on how intrusive they are. I think Tucker threw out the stat like 12% of teams that start 0-2 make the playoffs. And I mean, I kind of dismissed it very quickly on the postgame show. This team, like, hey, Rasheed's coming back, Hollywood's coming back. We're the 12%. The 88% has been weighing heavy on me the last 24 hours.
Oh,
And it's not that I don't have faith in this team. I just think it's more about like circumstantially how hard this league is on players and teams. The margin for error is very thin, right? You're going to play some good teams that the Chiefs haven't beat in other years, right? Like they've played the Bills and lost to them in the regular season. Regular season games all of a sudden mean a lot more to this team than they have in other previous seasons. I mean, they matched their losses from last season, and the starters played only one of those losses.
Yeah.
They've doubled last year's starters' losses, and like it's not a death. I mean, a lot of people treat it as a death sentence because like Shaq has a better chance of making a free throw than the Chiefs do of making the playoffs historically. I mean, it's brutal out here. Zach Greinke has a better chance today of getting a hit in a Major League Baseball game. And so it's just I've been like, whatever. I don't care about these numbers. The last 24 hours, the intrusive thought is maybe not. Maybe this team will miss the playoffs. Maybe this is more realistic than I'm giving it credence to, right? Because the margin for error is just gone, right? Because you're going to lose a couple just because you're playing good teams. And an injury here or there, a key injury here or there goes a long way in just derailing. Look at the Bengals and what's about to happen to them over the next 3 months, right? So, I don't know. It's just creeping in the back of my head a little bit more over the last 24 hours.
Yeah. I will say on a positive note there that a lot of those numbers don't include the extra wild card spot now.
Oh, that's a good point.
Those historical numbers don't factor that in.
How many teams? The Super Bowl thing's not good because usually a team that loses the Super Bowl does kind of miss. But like, how many teams that have been good start 0-2? Like that doesn't happen very often either, right? It's like you would have to go back. Like, what? Didn't the Ravens start 0-2? Was it last year or the year before? Last year, right?
Last year they started 0-2.
And then I think the Texans the year before that, and they made the playoffs. So like there's been playoff teams recently that have been making it, especially like good teams that start with a hard schedule. But I get it. And, Hamilton kind of had like a semi-positive intrusive thought. I had a positive intrusive thought. I got a negative one though. This is the one that really scares me. Is this just the Chiefs version of the 2009 Patriots? Is this just coming to the end of this particular team, this set of air, like the Patriots then, like that was the Randy Moss offense, right? That was they're throwing the ball down. Now, 2008, Tom Brady gets hurt. So like that year doesn't quite count. We don't know what that would look like. But in 2009, he comes back. Maybe he's not as good. But by 2010, the Randy Moss offense was no more. They were having to transition to something else. They had to find something else. Thankfully, they happened to draft, Rob Gronkowski and Redacted and start to make their offense turn into that. And like that gets them back to the Super Bowl in 2011. They don't win it. Then they don't even make a championship game for 2 more years because they're having to refigure out their identity. Are the Chiefs trying to figure out what their new identity has to be because Chris Jones isn't as good as he once was? Because Travis Kelce's not a net positive right now for this team, and he's been the guy that makes them right. Like, again, I started the show. What's their identity? And so now my intrusive thought is simply they need to find it. And once again, I said this in the offseason, I think they might be hanging on a year too long into what the identity has been rather than trying to figure out what the new one's going to be. Slightly unfair because there's injuries to guys that matter that maybe change this. But still, I just wonder if the Chiefs are at that point where there's too much roster turnover. Too many guys that mean a lot to this team being successful have aged out of them being at their best, and they haven't done a good job replacing them. They just simply haven't. Like whether we want to talk about draft misses, free agency misses, or even just guys not being as good as they need to be in those spots, they have not done a good enough job replacing some of the guys that are aging out. It might be a 2-3 down gap here. And by that, I mean making the playoffs, being competitive, just maybe not Super Bowl winning, kind of like the 2 New England Patriots were this time, because they have a lot of changes. They have a lot of overhaul to go through on this roster. Like teams do this.
Yeah, and it is concerned. Like right now, the identity is like Patrick Mahomes running around and scrambling is kind of the
Yeah.
identity of the offense, which obviously
How
is
many
not
places on the
a
field can he
sustainable thing.
truck a DB?
Yeah,
That's their identity.
I will give you one positive in this current era of NFL. Like Rams last year started 0-2, made the playoffs,
Ooh,
and were
there we go.
Brent
See, quit worrying, Kent.
Shepard said 5 of 12 0-2 teams have made the playoffs since they expanded to 7 teams. So
5 of the 12, you said?
Yeah, 0-2 teams have made the playoffs. Yeah.
So there you go.
Okay, it makes me feel better.
So go Raiders.
That's what we're here for.
Makes
Yeah.
me feel a lot better. I've been struggling a little bit with like how much hindsight should we? Yeah, I think I know what Hamilton just saw. Gino's pick.
First play of the game. Sorry.
I struggle with how much
Gino.
hindsight we should really have with some of this stuff, and I think I've been balancing gratitude with reality, because the truth is there's no other team in the National Football League that can sniff what the Chiefs have done the last 3 years, and every single team would sign up for that. And the decisions to keep pay Chris Jones into their 30s, like I think it was bracing for still very good but maybe not the best defensive tackle in football level of play, and those kind of things, right? Like when the bill finally comes due and it's a $35 million defensive tackle that's still very good in spurts, but maybe isn't consistently dominant the way he's always been. And when you are having to pay that, incredible 2022 draft class and all these things start piling up, I'm trying to figure out how much blame I really have for them trying to keep this band together, because they kept winning and they won 15 games in the regular season last season. And we're talking about this 0-2 year like they're just completely dead to rights. But I've been struggling. My brain has been broken to try to figure out how to appropriately place my emotions and the realities of maybe this is just a fall off, that even though it's looked like they've been dead before, like this team's just broken our brains. They've broken our brains the last 3 seasons.
You're speaking like a guy that's never watched Encanto. Okay, sometimes you got to patch it up as you go. You can't just rely on the house to stay good forever, Kent.
I have not seen that movie enough to even understand that reference, but
Really?
we don't talk about Bruno. So there's that. Any more intrusive thoughts from you guys?
I got a scary one, and I'm going to make it quick because this one I don't like this one. You just said that no team can even sniff what the Chiefs have done the last 3 years. And while that is true, the Philadelphia Eagles have made it to 2 Super Bowls in the past 3 years. They have won one. They blew out the Chiefs in theirs. They got revenge for their Super Bowl loss. If they go on to win the Super Bowl this year, which I don't think is happening, but if they do it, we're going to have some real uncomfortable conversations about which team is better in the 2020s. And then they're going to go into another year. It's right there. And I don't like them. I can't stand them. They are my least favorite team in the NFL in their current version. I hate their stupid play. I don't like their quote machine of a quarterback. Their coach is the worst. But if they win another Super Bowl, they go back to back, they have 2 and 4 years, and then they are setting up for a season that would look like a three-peat. Tell me that is not the darkest timeline in the entire world, is watching Nick Sirianni and his Bill Belichick wannabe hoodie t-shirt. It's not even a cutoff. It's just a hoodie t-shirt. You walk around the sideline and yell at refs for properly called penalties.
Hamilton, I'm not going to ask you to answer this question, but I may ask you to make a face. I don't know. Or just, you don't have to answer it directly. I'm not sure that Nick Sirianni isn't Ryan Day. He's the most Ryan Day NFL coach I've ever seen. He is third base. He's born on third base. Same way Ryan Day was.
Ryan Day has an
Have
offense
you checked
out
under
there.
his shirt?
Ryan Day has an offense out there. I have seen Ryan Day offensive playbooks. I have seen a Ryan Day offense. It exists, and it's good. Nick Sirianni, I've seen nothing. All he does is yell. He just yells.
Nick Sirianni, like the correlations between
he yells
him
and quotes the town.
It makes, I think you should leave faces. Like he looks like Tim Robinson making face. Tim Robinson with a beard sometimes. Just, are you sure? Like he's got the facial expressions down for that. Bumpa
That's a
BB's intrusive thought is Worthy is going to come back and be in a very limited capacity than 2 games back. Hey, hurt again and be out for the year.
I mean, listen, it sucks, but that's a very real possibility.
Fair.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, even without the fully torn labrum, that's a real possibility of his injury. And now you throw that in there, like it's possible.
Whew. 0-2.
Man.
Okay, let's get those out.
You have any more?
No, I just entered the scariest thing I can possibly think of, and you're asking me if I have more. I'm gonna cry tonight because I had to even just put that out there into the world. You know how miserable that would be? Everybody thinks the Chiefs, all the Kingdom stuff and their 3P document, and you think that was annoying. Imagine Nick Sirianni in that spot instead of Andy Reid. Imagine how they're just absolutely terrible that will be for the entire world.
I don't want to live in that world. So, go Pack, go. That's going to do it for this episode of the KC Laboratory. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, supporting. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later.
I have to watch the tush push.